Jailin Turner retired. Did you guys know that? It was very quiet. But Jailin Turner told Sean Shelby after the fight, right there at the cage. Got out of the cage. Turner said this to Sean, went into the back. And he just said, I tapped out because I don't want to fight anymore. I've been wanting to retire. I'm done. Okay. Jailin Turner is not going to go in your Mount Rushmore. I understand that. But that's a young man that had a goal. He sacrificed. He worked his ass off. And he made it. There was only one thing that he ever set out to do that he didn't do. He wanted to be world champion. He wasn't world champion. He didn't want to win 5 fights in a row. He didn't want to knock out 5 guys in a row. Like nowhere in his childhood did he write that down. I want to have a record of 12-1. He never did. He wanted to get into the UFC. And he also wanted to be UFC champion. But in the world of dreaming big, what a success. What a success. I saw Jailin Turner, and he was at the PI. He was catching a workout. I happened to be in there. And he had this new hairdo. His hair was shorter, it was pulled back, and he looked a little different. I didn't realize it was him. And it was this thing of beauty. And that's not a word you get to use very often to describe MMA, which is rough and tumble and violent. Every now and then you have a guy that can move with a grace and with an elegance. That's what Turner was doing. That was why I went and grabbed 3 people and said, who is this? And the first 2 had the same opinion as I had, is, wow, this guy moves well. I don't know. Well, third person comes in, tells us Jailin, he changed his hair. Once somebody tells you, it becomes wildly obvious, but I'm just saying, I was watching him. I could tell you how hard he works. I could tell you how disciplined he was. I could tell you physically how good he is, but there's another side. It's the mental side, and the camera will never get that. The camera will never pick that up. And there's a real maturity to being able to identify that, because physically, Jailin Turner probably has another 10 years. Probably about 10 years before something, his shoulder starts to hurt, or his back, and he can't quite move around. He's got that right up to that 38, 40, 41 with the right genetics. But at 29 years old, he's got a family. And if you find out there's something else you want to do with your time, it's a very responsible thing to do. There's another young man out there who wants to be in the UFC. There's another young man that did all the sacrifices that Jailin did, wrote down the same goals. He's chasing the same dream, but he can't get in because the spot's taken unless Jailin gives it up. It really was a very macho thing to do. Generally in this sport, quitting or stopping is looked down on. This is very different. This is very different. I have many good memories with Jailin Turner. I think just on a personal note, I will value that I saw him do his private workout, that I saw him and his coach, that I saw his interaction, that I saw him interacting with other people, and he was a gentleman. I think that is probably what I'll take with me most. But when you have somebody like Jailin, regardless of their record or regardless of their accomplishments, when you have somebody that lived that life and went down those roads, and like all the great artists, you have a death. This is a death of a career. But when you have that, it's important from our standpoint to pay homage. Thank you for the memories to Jailin Turner.